Hey now, it's Ruben with Help Find the Others. Um, as always, want to start out with gratitude for everyone that supports this channel. It's just amazing to see the energy that Stan and I put out into the world come back so positively, and I wake up every day grateful for all of you guys for doing whatever it is you do to support this channel and motivate us. You know, uh, but much like it is for everyone, it can be hard to find motivation to keep doing what you're doing. And, if you don't see immediate results, we live in a world of immediate results. And if we don't see those, it's hard to keep going. And all of your comments and thumbs up and, um, you know, emails and everything like that, those are the immediate results that, I'm looking for. And, please keep it up. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of everything we got going on and moving forward. Um, I wanted to get on today to just mention, what's going on in my life. I just recently accepted a temporary contract to work as a independent contractor for a consulting agency to do some forestry work, identifying populations of trees and stuff. But it's boring technical sciencey stuff. But regardless, the what this means for this channel and stuff is it'll be about 2 months where I'm working about 60 hours a week, and half that time I'll be away from home, staying in a motel or tent or whatever. I'm not really sure about the logistics of everything. But I want to try to record a bunch of videos ahead of time. I actually don't even know when I'm going to put this out. I might put this one out right away, but I'm going to try and record a bunch of stuff. And, Stan and I are going to try to record a bunch of podcast episodes just so that, the channel and everything doesn't go dark for 2 months. I don't know what internet access is going to be. I'm going to actually try to use it as a gift to kind of unplug and unwind a little bit and focus on work, because it's been 2 years now that I've been a stay-at-home dad and basically been connected to Wi-Fi at all times of the day with not very much else to do. And so any unplugged time, it has to be a conscious thing that I have to be like, okay, I'm going to go leave my phone somewhere else and take my son to the park and go mushroom hunting or whatever. Like, I have to physically do that. It's not just part of my day. For as much as everybody is addicted to their phones, most people have 40 hours of work a week that they might not be able to be on their phone other than their breaks or whatever. And to live my lifestyle of not having really anything stopping me from being on my phone. Unfortunately, to piggyback off the addiction video I did, phones are just as big of an addiction, if not more, as everything else. So I'm hoping to take this time to really kind of break myself from those habits a little bit. Like I said, it is a temporary contract. I think that it will lead to other opportunities, but it may not. I don't know. So I'll be back in the same boat in a couple months. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that in case this channel and everything does go dark, it's everything's okay. It's just that I'm going back to work for a little bit, and yeah, it's honestly, it feels like this decision takes a lot of courage on my part, and it feels like as Terrence McKenna said, a jump into the abyss, only to find out it's a featherbed. I'm really scared about doing this. There's every warning light in my psyche that craves safety and security and everything is blinking, because my ego is used to just being at home, and taking care of everything and being in control of everything. And to relinquish that control with only a 2 week window to prepare too. Like that was the other thing, is it was like kind of like, hey, this is. I had to actually even have them postpone it a week from what they wanted to start, because my kids are going back to school and I don't have enough time to get everything in order, find a daycare place, and get transportation set up with the school system and all this stuff. I was like, hey, I need one more week, and but it feels like that kind of to look ahead past it and see, like, what does this unfold in my path? It's worth the risk to me. And also, even if it doesn't open any doors, a 2-month shock to the system, I think will be very healthy for not only myself but my family. That is, as much as I've become addicted to controlling everything and being the one that takes care of everything, they've become addicted to me doing that and reliant, and so I think that it'll be good for all of us, and if it doesn't work out, I know that kind of work isn't for me, and I need a steady job or not a job. I don't know, but I need to take this plunge, and it really feels like that kind of thing, and I've struggled with it for about 3 days, and after confirming that I'll do it and accepting it, I felt a lot of anxiety kind of release from that moment. So I'm excited about it now. But one of the hard things about the decision is that I also have a job interview coming up in between now and when this contract starts, for a very boring, easy, relatively high-paying job for what it is. That would be back, commuting on the highway with everyone else, and the 8 to 4:30 grind, half-hour unpaid lunch, kind of, like the standard thing that everyone does, and I'm not ripping on that. But I did that for 5 years, and it destroyed my soul, and so, like, I'm not interested in going back to that, but financially, like, I need to. I gave myself 3 years to be a stay-at-home dad, to figure out my next path, and I'm 2 years into that. But unfortunately, the first year, I didn't curb my financial habits, and didn't take into account that I had no money coming in. So I really shortened the time frame that I financially could afford to do the stay-at-home dad thing and figure out my place in life. So that's why I've felt the urge to go back to work. And like I said, I'm staring this potential opportunity of steady, full-time work for as long as I want it, but possibly, putting myself right back in the same soul-sucking situation that, set me back 5 years in my life and my spiritual growth. To take this chance on something that would be very hard and a very 180 turn in my lifestyle, my family's lifestyle, to take a chance to build a different lifestyle for myself. This could lead to a situation where I only work 4 or 5 months out of the year, but I make, as much as I would make working every day. Because that's the case with this. I won't get into the straight up financials of it, but in this 2 months, I'm going to make what I would make working the safe job for the rest of the year. I'm going to make in just 2 months. And that'll get me through the winter, and then, I kind of either another contract opportunity will come up, or I'll, have a different perspective in the spring and get a different job, or wait for better possibilities. I'm not real sure. And that's the jumping into the abyss part, is like, I know exactly with the safe option what's going to happen. And possibly I'm, being negative in my own brain and saying, like, oh, it's going to be a soul-sucking job, I'm going to hate it. I could end up loving it. I don't know. but I know exactly what the path it's going to lead down. There's no other opportunities with that company and everything. I would just be doing what they do, and probably leave at some point for a better job or get frustrated and quit again. I'm not sure. So this independent contractor position situation is completely unknown to me. I know how the industry works from friends that have done it and everything. And some of them have the mentality and the mental makeup that they've loved it. Some hate it. I don't know until I do it how I will feel about it. So, yeah, it's a lot of anxiety and fear, but also, a positive kind of outlook is helping me, really be excited about the opportunity. And I'm just going to grab it by the horns and try to make it mine and make enough of a splash with this consulting agency that I'm top of the list when they got other projects, and that anything that's around the area or wherever, they call me first, and that's what I'm kind of hoping to do, and just kind of make that my life to where I possibly don't work a steady job ever again. That I'm just a contractor that works sporadically and then does whatever else I do. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So like I said, I'm going to try and get some content made ahead of time, since I won't have time for 2 months to do it. Hopefully, I might even try sending videos to Stan and have him edit them up, and maybe we'll use this time to incorporate some better technology and some more polished videos. I'm not real sure. I'll talk to him about that, but yeah, just in case you don't hear from me for a while or hear from us for a while, that's what's going on. I'm excited, and I imagine most of you that follow me will be excited for me as well. But I also, like I said, I want to use my experience and being open about what's going on in my life, to maybe give you guys some perspective for decisions in your life. It's one thing to talk about pushing through fear, pushing through anxiety, putting yourself in an uncomfortable position. It's one thing to talk about all that, and it's definitely one thing to be like, you do that when you trip, right? That's a very psychedelic. There's a lot of parallels between the psychedelic trip experience and life in general, and we often talk about that when we give advice. Be like, you got to push through the fear, embrace the fear, use it and whatever when you're tripping. Well, you have to do that in life too, and I'm 37. I have not done that many times. Moving away from New York, where I grew up, to Kentucky and Ohio was a bold move as far as, getting out of my comfort zone. But I could have went anywhere. And I chose to come here because my sister was already here. So even that was a safe move. I've made a lot of safe moves in my life. The two, scariest moves I've made in recent memory, are quitting my job for nothing, which has been scary depending on the day, depending on how you look at situations. It may or may not have been a good move. Financially, it was definitely awful. That's, but it's also financial decisions along the way that were terrible. But as far as a person, that move, along with deciding to follow this path with YouTube and podcasting and stuff like that, I've grown lifetimes worth of knowledge in those 2 years. So that was a scary move that has worked out all right. It worked out, and so which leads me to this choice to, take a 2 month, just intense focus on work and earning some money and having an interesting experience and making new connections and adding to my resume and all of these things. It's scary, but I think it's going to have the same positive outcome that, a year from now, looking back, I would probably be like, I can't imagine what my life would look like if I didn't take that plunge. And I'm not just in a lucky, unique position. Everybody is faced with a similar choice like this at some point in their life. And you have to be open to going against your comfort zone. Look at the term growing pains. It gets used everywhere. Well, it's growing is uncomfortable. Adolescence is an uncomfortable time. There's all these lessons, in our life is all fractals, right? And as you grow physically as a child, it's uncomfortable. As you grow financially as an adult, it's uncomfortable until, you reach a spot where you're comfortable. As you grow spiritually, it's uncomfortable. You have to go against the grain of what's safe and comfortable. The most safe and comfortable feeling right now for most Americans is to lie in bed under the covers with your phone in your face and Netflix on the TV. And how many of us find ourselves in a rut where we do that every night or every weekend? That's all we did. All Friday, Saturday night, all Sunday. That's all we did is just binge watch the new Netflix show or whatever. And then everyone's on their phone the whole time. So you're not actually even paying attention to the show, but it's just very safe to have your two screens in your face, And so running towards safety and comfort is not always the best thing. There's so much better things we could be doing than the things that make us safe and warm and comfortable. I'm not saying we should always be pushing ourselves and doing this. There's obviously people that do that. When you look at, the guy that comes to mind is David Goggins, who's on Joe Rogan's show all the time. There's people that live these extreme lifestyles that, get a lot from that. And I'm not talking like that's the way to live or whatever. It's just that you have to know that doing what's safe and comfortable is not always the most beneficial thing to help you grow. And when you are faced with a situation to where you have to make a choice between the safe, comfortable thing and to push yourself and to explore new frontiers and start a new chapter of your life, that's why we're here, is to take those. To go back to my last video about addiction and stuff like that, a lot of those temporary conditions of anger and jealousy and depression and anxiety, a lot of that is caused by just the redundancy of modern lifestyle. If you are one that, thinks outside the box, well, being crammed into a box can be, that can create a whole lot of symptoms and conditions and stuff like that. And that's where I found myself is people may look and be like, oh, I wish I could be a stay-at-home dad. And it's like, it's so redundant, and it puts you just as much in a box as a 9-to-5 job commuting. It really does, because you have to have these routines. Otherwise your kids go crazy, so you have to have all these different things, and it's just as mundane as, and now I could make it awesome and crazy and do all these things, but that's very tiring, and it's very hard to have the energy to do that. And props to people that do. You also need the money to be able to always have these activities for your kids and stuff like that. And I don't, so other than hiking and going in the woods and doing stuff outside, that's about all I do with my kids, and all I can afford to do. So, like I said, everyone probably hears this as complaining, oh, I wish I could not have to work and whatever. But The grass is not always greener, and that's what I've realized in 2 years is that you have to work, like whether it's working for yourself or for someone else. There seems to be some sort of universal energy that is needed, and you need to find a way to add value to the economic system that is the energy that all of us are tapped into. And the goal obviously is to work for yourself and to determine your own value. But not everyone can do that, and so you do have to find, if you don't have the ability or the knowledge or the guts to start your own company or to go out on your own, you do have to find a path that at least makes you feel good about it, and I think that's the key, is like, even if you don't know how to start your own company, like, don't settle for just pushing the buttons for someone else to make profit. Like, feel that you're worth something, and that you can add value to a situation, and find that. And it might be uncomfortable and scary to take that plunge to try to find that. And you may need to, like, cut ties from the boring, mundane thing that's holding you back and holding back your spiritual growth in order to find that next path. And, I think that's what's happened with me, is that I had all these visions of what I would do with quitting my job, and I didn't follow through on any of them. I just couldn't. I wanted to start a food truck. I wanted to start a DJ business, and none of it worked out. I kind of like tested the waters, and like, no, I would just get one gig, but nothing would follow, and whatever. And I've just been open to all these different possibilities, and this position came along, and actually, to even add more to the, like, cosmic timing of it all, I didn't even apply for the job. I had applied for another job with this company that was a little more like safe, always at home every night, only working around this area kind of thing. And I didn't get that job, but the guy, was impressed with my resume and interview and stuff like that, and called to offer me this position and said, hey, it starts really soon, but he's like, I think you're actually be better suited for this than the other position, and definitely would lead to other stuff down the road that most of the people that work for them full time started, but doing independent contractor stuff. So you never know. You have to be open to everything, and you have to be willing to go against the grain. And like I said, and this is how I'll name this video, but you have to be willing to jump into the abyss, and you'll probably find out that it's a feather bed, even though it feels like you're going to fall into a pit of despair. It's surprising what acts of courage can bring you. And so I'm hoping that's what this situation is, and that's the outlook I have going into it. So I didn't expect that to go on for 20 minutes, but you know me, I'm a rambler. So until next time, thanks for helping find the others, guys.